Greetings and salutations, folks. My name is Nick, and welcome to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Playing this game on my channel wasn't about, will I ever play Castlevania Symphony of the Night on this channel? It's more of an inevitability. Kind of like Dracula himself, always coming back once a century. Well, I guess I don't wait 100 years between playthroughs, because then I would be dead. But I have quite often come back to this particular iteration of Dracula's castle to experience this symphony again and again. It is one of my favorite games of all time. It is one of my comfort games. One of those games where it's like, I don't know what to play. Maybe I'm not even particularly interested in playing a specific thing, anything, of any type. I don't necessarily want to experience something new, something necessarily challenging. Although I suppose there are points in this game that it can be a little challenging. Symphony of the Night is not a hard game. I think it kind of starts you off a little weaker, so some early boss fights can be tricky, and some later boss fights can be tricky, and some later sections can be tricky. But overall, it's not particularly difficult. But I suppose that also helps the comfort food mentality that is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm playing the 360 version on my Series S. For a couple main reasons. One, ease of access. The Series S is plugged in at all times. And two, it has the original voice lines and recordings. There's the more recent remasters that also couple it with Rondo of Blood, which I admit I don't really know as much about Rondo of Blood. I don't even remember if I've actually beaten Rondo of Blood, to say that much. But the version that comes with that one is a little bit longer. It has some of the deleted materials that didn't make it into the original PS1 cut. But it also has rewritten dialogue, which isn't bad. But it's no miserable pile of secrets. So let us once again return to Transylvania, and I will do my best to shut up while the dialogue is going on so that you don't have to hear my voice as well as Dracula. But we must begin with the end of Rondo of Blood. Quick story, I suppose. A long time ago, there was this girl who was telling me about this game. It has been a long time since I've actually seen this girl. And this, I guess, was one of our last conversations. She was telling me about Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I had not heard of the game. And she's telling me about it, and about Alucard, and how you go around, fight things with a sword or whatnot. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like the Castlevania I know. Castlevania I know is, go around, hit things with a whip. And she's like, what? Like, she had not actually played any of the classic Castlevania games. She was introduced to Castlevania with Symphony of the Night. So she's like, that this is a spin-off, kind of? I mean, kind of, really. It follows a different formula and pattern than the original games. Instead of using the vampire... What did they call the whip in the Castlevania games? The vampires... I'm a terrible fan. I accidentally threw a cross. That's fine. Interesting enough, there's this section here. You can loot all the items. And they'll still... All these items will show up in Alucard's game, but I believe in different sections. I forget what actually drops here more specifically. Like, if it drops those same items, and, The developers figured you probably weren't going to go up there anyway, so they just left it there. But yeah, like, growing up with the Castlevania 1, Castlevania 3, I never actually finished Castlevania 2. Okay, I really need to... This is amazing return to form in regards to my Let's Play channel already. Not even 10 minutes into the game, and I'm Googling what the whip's name is. The Vampire Killer. For some reason, I was thinking Vampire Kiss. Not quite. Not quite. Not quite at all. But let us go confront Dracula, hear the most infamous lines of the game. There's other dialogue scenes, but I don't usually see any of the other conversations brought up. I only see this conversation, which is, of course, impeccable.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
Alright, and then we got our first boss fight of the game. Now, like, I could treat it like a boss fight, and I could fight him, and I could hit him with a whip. He might damage me a bunch if he knocks me down. There's Maria as a young girl, I think, who'll pick you back up. But, like, it's been a long time since I've even bothered with that, because I can just holy water crash him. And then again. Like, it's... Hydra Storm is a little bit too powerful. And Dracula is once more defeated. It was Richard Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter who succeeded in finally ending the menace of Count Dracula, lord of the vampires who had been brought back from the grave by the dark priest Shaft. However, one night, 4 years later, under the glare of a full moon, Richter mysteriously vanished. With no idea where to begin her search, Maria Renard set out to look for him. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, which is rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from out of the mist as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces were struggling for the soul of a man named Alucard, the very same Alucard who had teamed up with Trevor Belmont to battle his immortal father, Count Vlad Tepes Dracula. Alucard, in order to purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, had submerged his vampiric powers and entered into what was supposed to be an eternal slumber, but now he is awake and aware of the evil once again at work in his homeland. The time has once again come for the forces of good and evil to engage in their ancient battle. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who shall emerge victorious. Actually, I think, the developer of the game, Igagawa, is that his name? He could probably say who's going to emerge victorious. Also, I'll stop pronouncing it as Dracula for anybody who doesn't get the reference. If you do get the reference, the D on my grave stands for Dracula. And now we're Alucard. We have a nice sprint enter to run in, and there on the right is one of my favorite enemies in any video game of all time because of how useless he is. Let's see if we can get his attention. Look how long his startup for his attack is. It takes him so long. It's like vibrating for like a good 4 or 5 seconds before he charges at you. And then he doesn't hit you. He will never hit you. This guy is like one of the ultimate jobbers. He is just there to job. He is just there so Alucard can run into the castle and beat up a big bad guy and seem cool and tough. Once you defeat him, he is gone for good. He is one of the only enemies that doesn't respawn. And then eventually we're going to reach a point in which we lose our inventory, and we won't be able to one-hit kill him. But even with bare fists, it only takes like 4 or 5 hits to bring him down. Because he's a starter enemy, and you're still level 1. You're still level 1 with level 1 stats, even if you have the best equipment in the game. The developers still want you to show up into the castle and feel as though you are a tough vampire dude who can possibly take down Dracula. Because like if you showed up and like the first like you look at classic RPGs where like the first enemies you fight are a bunch of rats, and then the rats are actually like super tough and kind of clobber you, like that kind of immediately sets an expectation of your power level. You're not exactly that tough. But when you come in and like you easily wipe the floor with giant wolves and zombies, you're like, all right, I'm Alucard, son of Dracula. I can defeat him, save the world from his evil. Also, another interesting thing to note is destroying candles does not drop items. Destroying candles has always been a classic feature of item acquisition in the Castlevania franchise. But this game has a lot of features that eventually become like expected from the get-go. Like being able to see damage numbers on your enemies when you hit them, seeing the names of the enemies that, when you hit them. Like these are items you have to pick up and find in the world. Like later Castlevania games have them from the get-go. They don't make you unlock them. So it's interesting when I finally got around to playing Hollow Knight, and I feel like Hollow Knight kind of was like, you know what, we don't necessarily have to make all these things assumptions. We don't have to give you a map. Where is the map button? Map button. No. Oh, do I not have a map yet? Oh no, I do have a map. Okay. So, like in Hollow Knight, you don't have a map from the get-go. You can't even see where you are on the map from the get-go. And then we have this section where we have a bunch of mermen. I like to beat up on them for a little while. Like they're a great source of initial experience. There are like, I wouldn't say that this game necessitates grinding for experience. But I will say that there are a few points, off the top of my head right now, I want to say 3 points where I like to grind for experience. This is one of them, because it's a nice, easy way to gain some levels before you lose your powerful items. Especially if you don't suck like I'm doing right now. This is one place I like to grind. Another place is right before your doppelganger boss fight. Because your doppelganger is actually kind of tough. Or... Oh my gosh. Oh my god. For when you fight him in the game. I said this is one of my favorite games. I didn't say this was necessarily great at is relatively tough for when you fight him in the game, so it helps to gain a few levels before him. And then, let's see, there's a very specific weapon that drops in the Upside Down Castle from the ghosts in the library. So I grind for that. And then there are the knights outside of Dracula's throne in the Upside Down Castle. Like, those are really the only sections that I ever really do any grinding for experience. Well, I guess there's the ghosts I only grind for the weapon, but you get experience in the process. But we are going to... Let's see, what level... I'm ruining the immersion by pressing the Xbox 360 pause button. So I'm just going to cut ahead to when I'm done beating up on these guys. Alright, I think I'm good for now. Let us proceed up and to the right. Carry on into Dracula's castle, fight a few more wolves. Who, I believe, the wolves do show up eventually again. But by that time, you are powerful enough that they still are extremely easy to defeat.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Still befriending mortals. I'll not ask you to return to our side, but I demand you cease your attack.
I will not.
You shall regret those words. We will meet again. What?
I like the bow that he does at the end. But it's also very convenient that when you fight death later on in the game, he does not do his disarming trick a second time. He just is like, you know, I did the once. No need to do it twice. Oh yeah, and now I can punch. Now, I say this game is one of my favorites of all time. And... Well, yeah, there's no backing down in that position. But I will also say that it is not necessarily perfect. I feel like this is... I want to highlight something where... some interesting design decisions that this game makes that are questionable. Like, look at this guy. He's going to drop a weapon. The short sword. He is the first enemy we fight after being disarmed. The short sword raises our attack up to 11. Fantastic. Now, I suppose we could try skipping him, but in order to do so, we would have to literally take a whole bunch of damage in the process. It would not make sense. Second enemy in the game. He's going to drop a weapon. The Red Rust. The Red Rust is worse than the short sword. It lowers your attack from 9, which you would have had with just your bare fists, to 7. And here's the thing. That's not an isolated incident. Let's go up here real quick, like, to the Cube of Zoe, which will give us... Is this the Cube of Zoe or the Fairy Cube? Cube of Zoe. That gives us the ability to generate items from candles. I think there's a weapon to the right of here, or no, I'm thinking about a different section, a little bit up and to the right, where there's a cannon that you can blow up a wall, and find the Basilard, I think is called. And the Basilard is also worse than the short sword. Like, you go out of your way to find weapons that are worse than the first one you can get, which is it's a little odd. And then, like, you consider how they filled up the castle. Like, especially the giant hallway that leads over to the east side of the castle is very kind of, like, repetitive in its design. Not as bad. Not like, this game isn't even half as bad as Circle of the Moon can get. Like, Circle of the Moon has a lot of sections that are very repetitive in enemy placement and room design. But, like, it is worth noting that this game was very new for its time. And even though it may not be perfect, I love it. And cleverly disguised CD loading. So well disguised, the word CD, the letter CD, and the image of a compact disc are at the top of the hallway. I love it. Like, instead of trying to hide the CD loading, they actually blended it into the art. And now into the Alchemy Laboratory. We will fight no bosses related to alchemy. We're gonna get into bosses later, because, like, it's interesting the order of bosses that you fight, what bosses you do fight. The one that pops out to mind right now is the fact that the second boss in the game is your doppelganger, which feels a little bit early to go from monsters to your clone. Let us equip some armor. It won't do much. Oh, yeah, and that's also another thing that helps us with that intro sequence to seem tough, is not just your weapons, but without your armor, like, one hit from that wolf, like, takes off a good, like, 20-something damage instead of just 1 point. Like, Alucard's equipment carries him in that intro section. And then, of course, we have the classic red skeleton, the only enemy that can never be defeated. You know, I never really use shields in this game. Are shields any good? Like, I feel like this is another example of me treating this game less like a speedrunner, less like somebody who's trying to master the game, and more like the comfort food, is that I just want to experience it. I don't necessarily want to master it. Like, if you have any suggestions for or thoughts on the use of the shield, let me know. Because I never use it at all. And sometimes, like, oh, there we go. Let's be proven wrong immediately. Maybe I should always have been using the shield. You know, it's never too late to learn new tricks in a game that you've played for years. The question isn't whether or not you can learn something. The question is whether you're willing to try. Also, thinking about it, I probably am not going to discover every single secret in the game. Especially in this playthrough. But I will try not to pass them by. Like, I don't know if I'm going to reach that point where I'm just going to do a little montage of me going to all the secrets, because it's not necessary, especially for the purposes of this Let's Play. But I'll see if I can go to all of the ones I happen to know off the top of my head. And then the knife, which I never use in regards to the sub-weapons. I remember back in the day I used the clock. Is it a clock or a pocket watch? Or a timepiece? What is the actual label for the clock? I used that a lot. Holy water has always kind of been my next go-to. The cross, my other next go-to. The axe is excellent for this first boss fight. That. Yeah, the axe is excellent against this first boss fight, but I generally don't use it again. There's the diamond that kind of like bounces off walls. Like, I never use that at all. And the salt, which is kind of like the holy water, but slightly different. Like, I just kind of experiment with sometimes. And I want to say there's a revolver type sub-weapon that I also don't use. Let us save our game. It's convenient of Dracula to set up all of these coffins throughout his castle. That materialize out of nowhere. There's a door to the left that leads, or the hall to the left leads to a blue door, which we'll go down eventually. But for now, let us go to the first boss, which I want to say this boss is a boss from the previous game, from Rondo of Blood. Hello. Which is these two guys. We've got Flying Guy, which shoots fireballs. Spear Guy, which spears you with his spear. You must defeat both of them to progress. They each have 2 phases. Okay, there goes the first phase with Spear Guy. He no longer has his spear, but he has his pointy nose. And he's dead. Which makes this guy upset. Okay, I said I was going to use the axe, so I should at least use it once. And he's dead. Not a particularly difficult boss, but also kind of an example of a lot of the bosses in the game. There are maybe a few bosses that are tricky. This one, not particularly, or at the very least, not particularly tricky anymore. And then we've got this blood gusher over here. I don't know where he's storing all of his blood. But he has got a lot. Let us save our game. As is our way. Just constant game savings. And then let's loop around through this area. So this is going to drop one of those diamond, which is a little bit annoying because I don't like picking it up. Oh, that section didn't have a dime. All right, I failed. I'm terrible. Maybe it's the upper section above the save game that has the diamond. We'll find out. For now, let us take this elevator down while posing. We posed too hard. Now we're taking the elevator back up. That's fine. We can take the elevator back down and continue posing. That's very important to the experience of playing as Alucard. You need to properly pose while in an elevator. Otherwise, who's going to respect you as a vampire? Or as a cape wearer? If you were wearing a cape and not posing, I don't even know what you're doing. But yeah, The immersion is broken. There are the sunglasses that dropped above Dracula's room in Richter's side of the story. And apparently Alucard does wear sunglasses at night. If you want him to. Here we go. Here's the Bacillard. It lowers my attack to 10. It is a basic short sword. I have a replacement for the short sword. It is faster, though. And I think this is something that I forget just looking at the numbers. There's that specific weapon that drops from the ghost in the upside down library that does less damage than your previous weapon, but it is the ultimate weapon in the game. Like it doesn't do as much damage as the best weapon in the game, but it is the ultimate weapon. Whereas the short sword takes a lot of time. So this might be good against somebody? Let's try it out on Axe Armor Guy. I stand corrected immediately. Is that going to be a theme today? Or for this playthrough? Is, oops, there goes the knife. I was thinking about picking up the knife again and then just using it anyway. But alas, we'll have to get a new knife. Is me making statements and then immediately being wrong about those statements? Like, is that going to be a theme for this entire playthrough? I don't mind. I realize that I am not perfect. But at the very least, I can... If I'm going to make statements, I should at least attest to those statements. Like, if I said, oh, this weapon is worse than the other weapon and did not try it out, that would be my own failure. So let us go... No. See, that's the thing. Like, you can have a faster weapon that does less damage, but if you can only connect, like, a couple hits, there's my defense. There we go. But we're going to replace this eventually anyway. I tend to like the weapons that do... Like, I feel like with the Souls games especially, I've kind of gravitated towards... What does shields do for you? Like, if you hit me with a shield. Can you hit me? Why does the shield just kind of fly away and then get replaced with another shield? The Bacillard... The immersion. The Bacillard also doesn't have a downward angle attack, which is not exactly important for a lot of enemies, but there are very specific enemies that are made weaker, that are tricky to fight if you cannot aim down. Like, the plants in the library are difficult to fight with the shield rod, because the shield rod... No, wait, the shield rod has a downward strike. Like, or it would be difficult to fight with this enemy weapon, because it doesn't have a downward strike. There we go. This area has the diamond. Undoubtedly. Do not prove me wrong immediately, video game. Let me be right about something. There we go. Like, it's an interesting idea, and probably great for those areas that are more claustrophobic. But it doesn't necessarily do that much damage, so I never really use it. Let's hit somebody with it. Well, that took 2 hits, I suppose. Well, that's not bad. Shall we switch over to the salt? Let's try out the salt a little bit too. I suppose it also is a little bit difficult to gauge the difference of on if you cannot see the damage numbers. We're going to be able to fix that soon. That's not going to take that long before we get... What is it, the fairy cube? We already have the holy water. Okay. Now, let's hold on to the salt so that we can at least use it once. How much, it does... because he wasn't standing directly on top of the salt, his animation caused his sprite to shift, which meant he wasn't taking any damage, whereas with the holy water, he would still be taking damage from the fire. A knife. What was I saying about the knife not necessarily being very good? Yeah. Let us save our game, as is our way. I just had a thought. Just one thought. I try not to have too many thoughts, because then you got all these thoughts. Absolutely awful. But the downstairs area is a lot easier to deal with when you have holy water. That's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be great. Those big bad guys that we're going to run into soon, we're not afraid of no big bad guys. We do worry a little bit about the cursed dolls, though. Because we don't want... Like, curse in this game means you can no longer attack for a temporary period of time, which is kind of annoying. Although the knife is probably not a bad... Yeah. I suppose the safety in distance is also mitigated by the amount of damage you do. The Spirit Orb. That one tells you how much damage you are doing to your foes. What is my maximum hearts? 79. Okay, so we're almost full. Okay, now we've got our first big guy, but like maybe the Bastillard will make help make short work out of him. Yeah, only 1 point of damage with the throwing knife. Like, that's... Like, the throwing knife is probably my least favorite of the sub-weapons because of just how weak it is. It is weak. I'm a weak family and a weak nation. And then, of course, boomerang skeletons. What other weapon do you expect a skeleton to wield in battle? Oh my god. It takes 2 hits to kill the ghosts with the Bastard. Or at the very least, 2 hits at this level. That is slightly inconvenient. This guy might be... This guy might be a little bit tougher with just the knife. It's a lot easier to deal with him when you have, like, the holy water sub-weapon. And also at this level. So let us cut back to this guy. Alright. I also equipped the neutron bomb that I have. Well, let's see what kind of damage it does. Alright. Again, I was going to say, if we weren't going to be able to get him this time, that I was just going to try to bypass him to get to the other side. But we do not have to worry about that, because we can continue this loop back towards the alchemy labs. Nope. Ah. That's okay. And we see that the basic skeleton has been replaced. The red rust sword dropping skeleton has been replaced by these bloody villains. Now this jump is a little bit tricky, but you can kind of jump after you've stepped off of the platform to get a little bit extra distance. And like you can see that you've fallen a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to do. Let's go to, yeah. You can see the camera move down as Alucard starts to fall, but you can still jump in that position. All right, let us cut back to that save room at the top right there. Okay, so we're not quite there yet, but I think one of the things that I don't really consider as much is speed of attack in this game. So like the dagger by itself isn't worth much. Nope, never mind, it sucks. Or at the very least, it's not necessarily great against specific enemies. Like against this armored guy, it's terrible. But like the bigger guy down below, it was a little bit better at because of the amount of daggers you could get out at the amount of throwing knives you could get out at a specific time. Okay, onward and upward. All right, let us carry on our quest to find Dracula, as well as our stuff. Our lost stuff disarmed and taken away from us by death. I think these enemies are called fleas because they are pests.
Wait a moment. You seem human, and yet, what do you here?
I've come to destroy this castle.
Then we have the same purpose. I'll trust you for now. I'm Maria. Who are you?
Alucard.
Not the talkative type, I can see. Well, perhaps we'll meet again, if you live that long. Farewell.
Alas, there is a path up here, but I cannot quite reach it. My jump is just not good enough. But that's okay. We'll get there later. For now, let us kill some more fleas and head over to the library. Because, of course, the best way to defeat Dracula is by studying books. That does 10. That doesn't hit it. That is a terrible comparison. Let's hit some other things with this so that we know. Actually, all right. So it does act a little bit like the throwing knife. That's probably the more consistent thing in between Symphony of the Night and other Castlevania games, is when you get hit, you get thrown way back. What is the expense? It is 2... Oh. Timepiece is interesting, and we use that specifically to open up that path back in the clock section. But we don't need it yet because we cannot access said path due to our limited jumping abilities. Let's see, upstairs I think there's a door, one of those blue magic doors that we cannot access. Okay, this is the hallway I'm referring to in regards to, like, filling up space. Like, let's see how many of this section, 2 statues surrounding 1 column. Ooh. Sometimes I forget I don't really look in the background and see that big eye staring at us. Later Castlevania games actually have the eye come out and fight you. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 2 of this same enemy, this woman attached to an alligator, 6, 7. I've already lost count because I wasn't paying attention. What is that, 8? And then now we have the center of the hallway. And then we repeat the hallway again, except now with different enemies. Different enemy. Mostly a pushover. Let's give him a chance to show off his multiple phases. There we go. Like, weren't you proud of being able to show off your phase 2? What did I pick up? An axe. Actually, let's stick with this for the time being. And loading time to the outer wall. Zircon is basically just sellable inventory. Oh my. Like, I only do 1 point of damage per hit. Yep. Oh, son of a... that is... Is he still going to be bad with it? Yes, he is. I've definitely not left myself in a particularly good spot. Maybe we will survive? Yes, we did! Fantastic! I was not expecting that outcome, considering. But like I said, this game can be tricky at lower levels. Then we have this section here, where we have the owls. Or is that eagle? Eagle? Hawk? Eagle. Yeah, the birds. There's an entire, little story for the birds, and they eventually... Like, this bird lays egg. And then the baby birds will eventually go off as well. You can get an achievement related to it. I've already gotten the achievement. Let us go observe through the telescope. Look, there's someone on a raft. The Boatman. Someone on a boat. Boating along. So, interestingly enough, this big guy in armor, he doesn't automatically respawn just because you left the area. Other enemies will automatically respawn. That guy, like, I'll have to actually, like, leave the entire region, I believe, if I want him to come back. And now, this is usually my second spot for grinding for experience. Because we have the next boss fight, the Doppelganger, in the room above. Which we have 2 fights against the Doppelganger in the course of this game. There's this fight, and then there's also another fight in the Upside Down. And it feels strange that the second boss fight is already yourself. It feels like that should have just been for the Upside Down, and then you might have had like a skeleton or something in this area. Like in the Upside Down version of this castle, you fight a I forget if it's the Frankenstein or the skeleton in that place. But like one of either of those guys would make a little bit more sense. But let's actually try this guy without leveling up. To save myself time, to save you time, we're going to try using the crystal to hopefully enable us to do a lot of damage faster. The Basilar for that purpose too. Basilar is kind of terrible against him because you can't take advantage of the Basilard's speed because you only get like one hit in before he gets knocked back. So actually, I'm going to equip the Basilard out and replace it with the short sword. I mean, it doesn't do that much more damage, but it does something. And there he goes. I guess he's not quite as tough as I presented him to be. He's already dead. This doppelganger of mine. Let's stick with the short sword and go save our game, as is our way. I've clearly been on hiatus for way too long because already it feels as though my throat is dry. I'm out of practice talking for more than... Well, I haven't been talking this whole hour of recording, so like more than 45 minutes straight. Go ahead and try needing sustenance. Alright, let's at least reach the Master Librarian. Oh yeah, and we got the Gladius. Sword of Ancient Rome. Slightly more powerful than the short sword. I want to say it's basically the same... the same animation, but also longer. Which is convenient. That's okay, we got this. At least I think I got this. It would be a lot easier if I have any of the movement upgrades. And then I wouldn't necessarily depend on having to get that perfect end of platform jump. And I don't even remember there being anything... No, life max up. That's fine. That's great. And then I think up this way we're going to run into a gorilla skeleton who will try throwing a barrel at us. He's higher up. There he is. Very ineffective. Like, he doesn't even like, it's probably his bad posture. Like, if he didn't have such bad posture, then maybe he would realize that he can't hit us with the barrel from where he's standing. But, you know, like, he needs to see a chiropractor. What is this guy's name? Dunhollow or something? Either way, he's a little bit dangerous because he kind of, like, charges at you. So even if the sword strike doesn't hit you, like, his own body could as well. And then you got fleas again. Yeah, sword, stop stabbing me. It's interesting that, like, his skull spends so much time animating after his death. Makes for a little bit more lively path through the castle. What have we got here? A bronze cuirass. We don't need any fancy descriptions for what these items are, or explanations on how to pronounce the word cuirass. I'm just assuming that is the pronunciation. Ah. Okay, so I guess it's not that bad if once you're able to throw a bunch of them. Ah. This guy's... Oh, there. That's what I wanted to avoid. Okay, I do have an uncurse. I guess I'll use it. Like, this guy's a little bit... I keep saying tricky this entire time. Can be a pain in the ass towards the beginning when you aren't able to defeat him in one hit, because he bounces around so much. No, you can still use sub-weapons. I forgot about that. I think I forgot about that largely because I just try to avoid getting hit entirely. Oh, that was just one hit. Nice job, sub-weapon. And then the books are going to come and attack you and become 3D. Some of the rare 3D enemy, polygonal enemies in this game. And die, their text falling out of their exploding shells. Actually, you know, let's try out the Bastillard on this... Not the Bastillard. Yes, the Bastillard. On this enemy. Because I was thinking this is the guy that you can't hit. Yep. And because the Bastillard has no downward strike, this guy is safe. Alright, what drops here? Is it it's not a double jump. What was this item? Is it a... I want to say it's a fairly... It's the one that allows you to see their names. That's what this item is. Is this the... Fairy Scroll? There we go. And now we can see who we are fighting. These are magic tomes. Completely different from those other library books we were fighting earlier. The Duron. And then there are sections in the library with spell book, completely different type of book. There are sections of the library like this area up here that we cannot access just yet. We'll be coming back there later on, especially when we have the power of mist. But for now, let us talk to the Master Librarian.
It's been a long time, old one.
Oh, it's you, Master Alucard. What do you need?
I need your help.
Young Master, I cannot aid one who opposes the Master.
You won't go unrewarded.
Really? In that case, just tell me what you need.
I'll give you money. Oh, what do you need? So,
I'm interested in this.
we missed an enemy? Is there an enemy somewhere? Okay, that's fine. Boomerang wielding skeleton. Let's see if we can find... the bosses that we already fought. That is... oh yeah, here's Doppelganger 10. A shape-shifting demon. So tactics doesn't make sense as a thing for sale.
I'm interested in this.
Because he can only sell you tactics to fight enemies that you've already fought. You've already defeated them. Why do you need to see strategy on how to fight the enemies you've already fought?
I'm interested in this.
But you can sell some gems.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm interested
Buy
in
some
this.
items. Jewel of Open is the more specific one to get, as that enables us to carry on with the game.
Thank you.
And... we also could use a map.
Thank you.
We can also buy scrolls that teach us magic spells. We don't need the scrolls to learn the magic spells, but they come with the combinations. And if you are like me and you don't remember the combinations, like I don't remember the combination for Dark Metamorphosis, I have to relearn it every single time. Because I am terrible. Like, I could buy a mace, and that'll give us a little bit more punch. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, and now we have the soundtrack. Wandering Ghosts is probably my favorite song in the entire soundtrack. It takes a moment to get to it. It plays in kind of like the arena Coliseum area where you confront Richter Belmont inside the castle for the first time. And it's got this kind of like jazz beat to it. And I like this guitar. Like, this guitar is great. Okay. But the soundtrack is well known to be excellent. There are no duds in this soundtrack with the exception of the end credits song, when you are done with the game. For some reason, like, that song is this kind of like weird folk. Like, that song sounds the most out of place of anything in this game. And we'll get to that when we reach that in the first place. But for now, we are going to be heading out of the library. Oh yeah, I forgot to equip the mace, which I purchased. A little bit slower than the Gladius. Not particularly strong against books. Let's see how it does against... I might actually stop using the mace if it turns out... Never mind, it's great. If it gets rid of the ectoplasm in one hit, then I'm fine. How about you, Duran? 2 hits instead of the 3 hits that it took the Gladius. Fantastic. And it's probably stronger against the armored guys in the stairwell. Which there's still one more as we go upward and onward. Skeleton Ape, try to do a better job. Another classic enemy over here. The Spear Guard. Let's use the axe a couple times. Not quite dangerous. There's one room in this, like, in the Coliseum Arena section with the Wandering Ghost song. There's a hall where there are a bunch of those guys with guns lined up. That area can be a little dangerous. Hello, skeleton. Hang in there. Yeah, definitely stronger against the armored foe. But yeah, that hallway in the Wandering Ghost section has a bunch of those guys with guns, and it can be a little bit more dangerous. Probably the most dangerous elevator. And now we can turn into a wolf. We can't really do much as the wolf now because we don't have its power-ups, but we can turn into one. We can bark and run. Action-packed action. And then we got the Medusa heads that can turn you into stone. Not all Medusa heads can. The blue Medusa heads are very jealous of the golden Medusa heads and their ability to turn people into stone. Oh yeah, the Holy Book. I forgot about that one in my listing of all of the sub-weapons. Let us use it against creatures of the night. I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, okay. I know what I'm gonna do. Let us, we're gonna teleport over, and we're gonna make our way over to that save point at the left side of the map. And that's where I think I'm gonna stop for the night. This takes us to the clock tower. We are not quite ready for it yet, and that's not exactly our next step anyway. We need to get a double jump first, and then we're able to deal with the clock tower. Armored guy, are you back? You're back. I'm not impressed by this holy book. Can you... Now, you can only open one at a time, so it's probably good only for, like, projectiles. Like, since it's not even strong enough to destroy a Medusa head. And now we have a teleport station. We have fast travel. All right. The map is slowly but surely opening up to us. And actually, you know what? I think this is where I'm going to stop recording for the night. Because we've already been through this area. So I'm just going to carry on until I reach that particular save point that is right before the first boss. And that's where I'm going to stop. Got any suggestions for someone to play next? Leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have yourselves a good night.